How's it going, everybody? Welcome to my Week 7 prediction show. I had a lot of fun doing this last week, so I decided I'm going to continue to do this every week for the rest of the NFL season. So, let's begin with my record from last week. Last week I went 10-5, making my overall record for the season 63-29. Couple notes I want to make just before we begin with Week 7. There are a couple big upsets that I do want to mention from Week 6. The Giants over the Eagles on Thursday night. The Panthers over the Cowboys, a game-winning field goal there. The Falcons over the Bills, all over the Bills. And the Chiefs beating down the Blue Kitties. And I did make a pretty bold prediction last week about how the Blue Kitties were going to dominate and blow out the Chiefs. I was very wrong about that. So I hope it didn't jinx the Blue Kitties. I'm sorry, Detroit. I really am. Alright, getting into Week 7, the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens are on a bye. And honestly, both teams could really use it. The Bills need to get back in the rhythm, and the Baltimore Ravens need Lamar Jackson back now, because they have looked just awful. Just awful. So, without further ado, let's get into it. We'll start on Thursday night in Cincinnati, the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Bengals in what's being called the Icy Hot Bowl. Aaron Rodgers versus Joe Flacco. I think that's a great name, and I hope it goes down in NFL history. I really do. The Pittsburgh Steelers coming off a dominant win against the Cleveland Browns in Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers looked great. He threw 2 touchdowns. DK Metcalf had 95 yards and a touchdown. Hayward had another touchdown. Their defense swarmed Dylan Gabriel with 6 sacks, 2 of those sacks coming from Jalen Ramsey. That's right. In a game that featured TJ Watt and Myles Garrett, 2 sacks, the person who got 2 sacks was Jalen Ramsey. Who'd have thunk it? The only thing, one of the big things that's bad for the Steelers is they were penalized 10 times. That's not good. But they overall, I thought they looked good. I was able to catch a little bit of the game, about the first half of it, and they did look really, really good. I think Aaron's looking good in the pocket. He's able to scramble around, and the defense smothered a bad Cleveland Browns team. And bad Cleveland Browns team. I'm saying that as a Packer fan who lost to the Browns. Anywho, this was the 22nd straight regular season win against the Cleveland Browns in Pittsburgh. That's obviously not including that playoff game that Baker Mayfield baked them. But 22 straight wins. That's at home against the Cleveland Browns. That's pretty dominant. The Cleveland Browns did not look good. They just did not look good. They just didn't look good. The Cincinnati Bengals didn't look too bad after acquiring Joe Flacco and taking on the Green Bay Packers. We did notice with the Bengals that it's crazy when you get a veteran quarterback in there, although Joe Flacco didn't necessarily know the offense 110%. He still had great wide receivers like T. Higgins and Jamar Chase who made incredible catches against the Packers. And it just shows that when you have a competent quarterback behind the offensive line, they can still do great things. So Joe Flacco threw 2 touchdowns. He was only sacked once. He was able to move around the pocket very, very well and avoid Rashawn Gary, avoid Micah Parsons, and only get sacked once against Lucas Van Ness. Jamar Chase getting involved, 94 yards and a touchdown. One of the big things that the Bengals did very, very well is they were able to use the run game and a lot of quick passes at the beginning of the second half in Lambeau and have a 17-play, 10-minute drive that ended on a fourth and goal touchdown to the back of the end zone. Both of Flacco's touchdowns were on 4th down. They were the one all the way in the back of the end zone, and an absolute dime to Jamar Chase. As a Packer fan, I really couldn't even be mad at it. It was a great catch. it looks like Gesicki is going on IR, their tight end, and it looks like Trey Hendrickson is day-to-day. So the Bengals do hope that he is going to be able to play. I don't know if I necessarily think this is going to be a blowout by any means. I'd say AFC North, those games are typically close battles and defensive battles, although not last week. But I am going to give the win to Pittsburgh. I think it'll be maybe a 7-point win. I expect Aaron to play well, and I do also expect Flacco to play well as well. So we'll see who wins the Icy Hot Bowl. In my opinion, I think it's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then we are going to go to Jacksonville, and I just realized I didn't put up the helmets for the Steelers and the Bengals. My bad. So there's the Bengals one, and there's the Steelers one. I'm going with the Steelers. All right, then we are going to head to Jacksonville for the LA Rams and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Rams coming off a okay performance against Baltimore. I definitely thought that the Rams were going to perform much better, especially on offense. But they did what was necessary. Matthew Stafford threw a touchdown. Kyren Williams had a touchdown. He did throw one interception. And he was sacked 4 times. Stafford was sacked 4 times. The one concern with the Rams is Puka Nacua got hurt. Seemed to be his ankle. I didn't see any new information for him. I'm so sorry. Like I said, just got home from work. I'm sorry. Puka got hurt. He got hurt his ankle. I didn't really see too much of an update as of right now, as of filming this. So we'll kind of see how that offense looks. Their defense played very, very well against a struggling Baltimore team, like I said. So that probably helped a lot. But that game was close for the first little bit there. But they did end up pulling it out. The Jaguars fell last week to the Seattle Sea Chickens. T-Law was sacked 7 times, although he did throw 2 touchdowns. Sacked 7 times. Oddly enough, the Jacksonville Jaguars, coming off a really good game against the Chiefs, didn't get in the red zone against the Sea Chickens. And they were, they just didn't play to the fullest of their potential. This game is going to be in London. The Jacksonville Jaguars obviously play in London every year. Played twice there last year. They'll be there again this year. They're 6-5 all time in London. So I do think, now that I think about it, I do think this is going to be a close game. I do expect the Rams offense to play better, but I also do expect the Jaguars to play better as well. I think it'll be a close game, but I am going to go with the Rams here. Even if Puka doesn't play, Stafford still has Tay, and Kyren Williams, so I think the Rams will be just fine. Then we will head to Chicago for the New Orleans Saints and the Bears. The New Orleans Saints coming off a loss to the New England Patriots. That was closer than what I thought it was going to be. Spencer Rattler did look good. He had a couple of really, really good throws. But Kamara was only held to 31 yards. A lot of missed opportunities for the Saints. A lot of drop passes. A lot of just miscues. But overall, I was kind of impressed with the way Rattler looked for the most part. He did have a beautiful touchdown that was unfortunately taken away due to penalties. And then we go to the Bears, who won on a last-second field goal against the Commies in Washington, our nation's capital, on Monday night. The Bears forced good amount of turnovers. Two big fumbles, one right at the end of the game, and then they were able to get right into field goal position. I do think, and I've said this before, I think Caleb Williams looks good. He looks great. Swift ran good. Overall, I think they played enough to win, although I don't think they should have won this game by any means. They were, of course, handed two fumbles, especially, like I said, the fumble right at the end of the game. They were penalized 9 times, so I'm not a fan of that. I think that needs to get cleaned up. But overall, the Bears have won 3 straight games. They're looking good. Are they on some sort of hot streak where they're going to all of a sudden win the division? No, I don't think so, but I don't think we're there just yet. But their defenses look better. And overall, I think that I think the Bears come away with this win. I think the Saints are still a good long while away from being good. And I don't mean that in a mean way or anything, but I think this is going to be Bears all the way. I expect maybe a 2-score victory in Chicago. All right, then we will head to Cleveland for the Brownies taking on the Finns. Both teams coming off of losses, although the Finns played a lot better against the Bolts than what I thought they would have, but Tua continuing to turn the ball over. Three interceptions again. It's about the second time this has happened. I just don't understand. I just don't understand what they're doing sometimes. I just don't. Second time he's gone. He's had a 3 interception game this year. That's not okay. Obviously, missing Tyreek Hill doesn't help. But I don't know. They just need to play better. And I think Mike McDaniel is definitely on the hot seat. But I think time for him is running very, very short in Miami. Cleveland, like we talked about earlier, they got rocked by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dylan Gabriel, for some reason, they're going to... Kevin Stefanski thinks he can trust Dylan Gabriel to throw the ball 52 times and only give the ball to Judkins 12 times. I don't understand that logic. They were 6 of 17 on third down. They just did not. I'm looking at my notes here. I don't have anything here for them. They have not looked good at all. One of the bright spots, I think, for Miami going in this game is Devin Achane. Still looks very, very good. He had 2 touchdowns against the Bolts. So I am going to give the slight edge to the Finns. I do think that their offense is slightly better. But I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game by any means. But I am going to go with the Finns in Cleveland. All right, now we are going to head to Kansas City for the Chiefs and the Raiders' big historic rivalry in the AFC West. The Raiders coming off a win over the Titans, breaking a 4-game losing streak. Geno didn't look great, but he was good enough. But this game was mostly their defense. 6 sacks. Max Crosby had 2 sacks, and they just made Cam Ward uncomfortable the entire game. And it was just a poor performance. I think more on the end of the Titans than the Raiders, but the Raiders just did better on defense. The Chiefs coming off an upset win over the Blue Kitties on Sunday Night Football in Kansas City. Their defense stuffed them, stifled them, and the Chiefs just looked a lot better. Mahomes threw for 3 touchdowns and scrambled for 1 as well. Travis Kelce led the team with 78 yards in receiving, and they didn't get any penalties. Now, if you want to blame the refs and say that the refs let them get away with stuff, let them get whatever. So be it. That's the way the game is. But no penalties, so that I think that a lot of that has to do with discipline. Andy Reid is an excellent coach, and Spags is a great defensive coordinator. And they are also, I believe, getting Rashee Rice back this week. So I think the Chiefs are starting to climb and look better. As much as that sucks for a normal NFL fan, but they just are. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. It just is what it is. I am going to go with the Chiefs here. I think the Chiefs win handily. I just think that the offense is starting to peak. They're starting to look good. The defense is tough, and they're looking good. I think the Chiefs are going to start going on a roll. So, I'm going with the Chiefs. All right, then we will head to the purple incarnation of Satan in their evil lair in Minnesota, where the Vikings are taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles looked like crap the last 2 weeks. Absolute crap. I didn't catch too much of the Thursday night game, although I did watch a little bit of it. And they just looked... It is awful. They just look terrible. Second straight loss now if they're starting 4-0. They just look bad. Let's see here. Where did I write down? Hurts was sacked 3 times. He threw a pick. His first of the year against a Giants team who their defense didn't look that great. They allowed Scadaboo to get 3 touchdowns. Barkley is just playing not what we're used to seeing Barkley play at 58 yards. But Goddard looked good. He had 110 yards and a tutty. And I do want to make this point clear. I don't necessarily remember exactly where I stood when the whole tush-push thing came out near the beginning of the season, that all the Packers were trying to get the tush-push banned and all these other teams. And I kind of thought that, well, if you wanted the tush-push gone, you got to stop it. And after seeing the Eagles run the tush-push 4 straight times, I can honestly say that the Packers were right. You need to get rid of that, because that's not football. This is not football. 4 straight tush pushes? Come on. I'm not with that, man. And the purple incarnation of Satan, they are coming off a bye week. The last time we saw them was their London victory over the Browns. JJ McCarthy is questionable. So we'll see if it's going to be him or Carson Wentz. That's pretty much all I got to say about that. The Vikings defense has looked pretty good in their first couple weeks. So I am actually going to go with the Vikings here. I think Philly's just on a slide, and Evil will win in Minnesota, in my opinion, on Sunday. I just think the Vikings defense is good. It's too good for Philly right now. I could be very, very wrong. We could see Saquon Barkley go up, but I don't know, whatever. I'm going to go with the purple incarnation of Satan. All right, then we will head to MetLife for the Panthers and the 0-6 Jets. The Panthers coming off a upset victory against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday with a game-winning field goal in the final seconds. And they looked really, really good. The offense looked great. Let's see here. Dowdle had he ran for 187 yards and caught a touchdown as well. Dowdle just looked amazing. Just absolutely amazing. Bryce Young threw 3 touchdowns, and they only allowed 31 rushing yards. I think that's great against a very high-powered Dallas Cowboy offense. And I think the Panthers are starting to move their way up. I thought that at the beginning of the season that as long as if the Panthers could just get in a rhythm, I thought Bryce Young started to look a lot better at the end of last year, and I do think that this is a team that can get a lot better, and I think they're going to have a very easy time this week against the 0-6 Jets. The Jets are probably one of the worst teams I think I've ever personally seen. I had the displeasure of waking up early on Sunday and watching it for some reason. In London, they looked absolutely horrific. Justin Fields was sacked 9 times. He only threw for 45 yards. They're 0-6 for the third time in team history. And they were 2 of 15 on third down. This Jets team was so bad. Now, granted, the game they played when they played the Broncos didn't play well either. We'll get into that later. But they just look awful. They just look awful. I don't really have much else to say about it. They look horrible. So I am going to go with the Panthers here. I think the Panthers are going to be able to build up the momentum they got last week, beating Dallas, and I think they're going to be all over the Jets. I really, really do. I like to not think that that the problem is Justin Fields, but clearly Justin Fields does have a problem. So, going with the Panthers. All right, and then we have the New England Patriots taking on the Tennessee Titans. The Patriots coming off a victory against the New Orleans Saints, and Drake May looks good, and Boutte looks good, and the Patriots look good, and oh my goodness, is the evil empire rising again? Please no. Please no. Pats had 10 penalties on Sunday against the Saints. That's not great. They're now on a 3-game win streak. Like I said, Drake May looks good. The offensive line looks good. He's got weapons. The defense is playing pretty good. I know Stevenson is touch and go, but I do got to say, I think the Pats are looking good right now. They're not like really, really good just yet, but they're looking pretty good. The Titans, as we just mentioned, they fell in Vegas on Sunday, getting sacked 6 times. Cam Ward did throw a touchdown and also a pick. He looked extremely uncomfortable behind that O-line. And I guess it might work out for the Titans. I mean, losing to the Raiders got their coach fired. Brian Callahan was fired the other day. Monday morning, I believe that was. The senior offensive assistant, Mike McCoy, will now serve as the Titans' interim head coach. So that's a thing. I do think they still have weapons. They still have Ridley. They still have Pollard. I just think that it's just going to take some time for the Titans to get it moving, and I don't think it's going to be this season by any means. I think you need to wait and let Cam Ward develop. And I do think that Cam Ward, he has shown flashes here and there, some couple of throws that have looked really, really nice. But I think we still need to give him some time. So I am going to go with the Pats here. I do think it's going to be an easy win for them, and we'll continue to see if the evil empire is rising again. All right. Get that down. Grab my other little piece of paper here. We will now move to the Green Bay Packers heading to Arizona, the Toaster, to take on the Arizona Cardinals. The Green Bay Packers coming off a victory against the Bengals. Jordan Love looked great. Josh Jacobs had the flu and still ran all over the place with 93 yards and 2 tutties. He also caught the ball 5 times for 57 yards. Matthew Golden had 3 catches for 86 yards. Tucker Kraft had 2 receptions, 43 yards, and a tutty. I think the Packers' offense is starting to heat up. They're looking really, really good. As of right now, I have not seen anything about Watson coming back, being activated to come back and play any sort of snaps in this game. Reed is still out, so I think when this offense gets all its pieces, they're going to be nuts. Just nuts. I do want to make a couple statements about the defense. The defense played okay. The secondary wasn't as good as what I would want, but when you're going against two great wide receivers like Higgins and Chase, it's a tough job to ask for Keyshawn and Carrington. The pass rush only got home one time. Lucas Van Ness sacked Flacco once, and Parsons and Gary did have a couple of good pressures, but Parsons was getting choked out half the time, so I don't really blame him for anything. Practicing wise, the Packers practiced today. Not practicing today was Zach Tom, Devontae Wyatt, Lucas Van Ness. Matt LaFleur did say that Zach Tom was telling him that he did feel better today than on Sunday, but he did not participate, so that's not a good sign. Also, not having Wyatt, that's not a good sign, especially for the run game. But Wyatt will get the week to kind of see if he's going to practice, where it seems as Zach Tom is not going to be looking good all week. Didn't appear like Brandon McManus was practicing at all, so it looks like we may run with Lucas Haversick again, but we'll see how the week plays out. It is only Wednesday. Anthony Belton, Dontavian Wicks, and Javon Bullard were full participants, although Javon Bullard is in concussion protocol. And Christian Watson did practice, but it was limited for him. Other good signs is now Jordan Love and Micah Parsons are officially off of the injury report, so that's good news. Heading into Arizona. So, things with the Packers, if the offense could just play a full game, and if the defense could just play a full game, I mean, they're going to rock the Cardinals, if that's the case. The special teams looked good. I think that's the first time I can say that this year. They look good, no mistakes. Jordan did have one kind of a boneheaded interception right at the beginning of the game, but he kind of did turn it around. But I will stop talking about the Packers. I did a whole video on the Packer game. So, heading to the Cardinals. The Cardinals are coming off a close game against the Colts. A lot closer than what I thought it was going to be. Jacoby Brissett looked really, really good. He played better than Murray had played all year. He ran the offense better than Murray, so I don't know if Murray's going to play. He was limited today in practice, so I didn't know they just did a walkthrough today, but if the Packers, the Cardinals might be better off having Jacoby Brissett play against the Packers. Marvin Harrison, I think he's in concussion protocol as well. Yeah, he's in concussion protocol. They allowed the run game, or the run defense allowed Jonathan Taylor to get 123 yards, so that could be good for Josh Jacobs. But they did look good. They did look a lot better against Indianapolis. It's their fourth straight loss, so not great, but we'll kind of see how the week plays out and who's gonna play quarterback. If I was a bet man, I'd probably run with Brissett again. I just think it might be the better option. I am going to go with the Packers here, of course, and that's not just because I'm a Packer fan. I do think that this is another game for the Packers to go out there and try to beat up on a bad team, because next week they got to head to Pittsburgh to take on Aaron Rodgers. So I am going to go with the Packers here. I do think it might be a 10-point win. That's what I'm going to aim for if the Packers can play well. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers in Arizona to improve to 4-1-1. Now, we will head to Mile High for the Giants taking on the Horsies, the Denver Horsies. The Giants, of course, like we said, coming off a big upset win against the Philadelphia Eagles. Jackson Dart has looked great. Scadaboo is just nuts, man. That man is just nuts. That post game with him and Fitz was just glorious. I loved it. Scadaboo had 3 touchdowns. The defense played really, really well. I think they had a pick 6, if I remember correctly. I don't know if it was pick 6 or not. But the defense played really, really well. They outplayed my expectations by far. And like I said, I didn't catch all of the game, but from what I saw, they looked really, really good. And then it was also very funny when Jackson Dart went into the medical tent that Russell Wilson came out and sucked. So the Giants now know they made the right decision by putting Jackson Dart in there. The Horsies are coming off a not great looking game against the Jets in London, but I do have to say that the Denver defense looks great. They look really good. And that's not only because of the blowout they had against not the blowout, but the 9 sacks they had against the Jets. That's probably just because the Jets suck. But this Broncos defense looks very, very, very good. They look very good. Bo Nix has looked very good. I'm all on the Horsey train, man. I think Denver's good. And I do like them for this matchup in MetLife, or not in MetLife, in Mile High. I am going to go with the Horsies. I think it'll be a close game, and I think looking at the schedule earlier this year, we may have not thought this was going to be as interesting as a game as what it looks like now. But I am actually excited about this game. I'm not going to be able to watch it, obviously, because the Packer game is going to be on. But I am going to go with the Horsies in Denver. Oh no, my book fell with the helmets. Oh no. Now we are going to head to LA, SoFi for the Colts and the Bolts. Colts and the Bolts. The Colts coming off of, like we just talked about, coming off a close victory at home against the Cardinals. I just want to make this point that, as we all predicted, the Indianapolis Colts, if this season were to end today, the Indianapolis Colts would be the number 1 seed in the AFC. Just as we all predicted. Daniel Jones looks good, man. Daniel Jones, he looks good, and I love it. I love it for him. I really do. I've always liked Daniel Jones. I know we can make fun of him for the time he was in New York, but man, he's playing very well. Over 1,500 passing yards, 8 tutties, only 3 picks. JT looking good, over 600 yards on the ground, 7 tutties. Their defenses look good. It's easy to say the Colts are one of the best teams in the NFL right now, and they're definitely playing like it. The Bolts are coming off a close win in Miami, a game that shouldn't have been that close for them. But Justin Herbert, he looked okay. He looked alright. He had a lot of good passes. He looked good. Lad McConkey's a stud. He had that big catch late in the game that set up the game winner. He had over 100 yards in this game. Justin Herbert also looks like one of the better QBs in the AFC right now. 10 tutties. And they'll have to hold the Colts down. The Colts are the best points per game in the NFL, so the Bolts defense is going to really have a job ahead of them. And I don't think being at home at SoFi is going to make a difference, because pretty much home at SoFi is just a home game for whoever's visiting. But I think it'll be a close game. I did actually make a note that the Chargers are only favored by 1.5. I'm actually surprised by that. I'm surprised they're favored at all. I am going to go with the Bolts here. Now, hear me out. I have a feeling, it's just a hunch, that Daniel Jones is going to revert back to old Daniel Jones just this week. just so here I am just sitting here praising him, and now I'm taking a shot at him. But I am going to go with the Chargers. I think they're going to look a lot better coming off a close game. I think they're going to look better, and I think it'll be close. But I'm going to go with the Bolts in SoFi. All right, then we will head to Jerry World for the Commies and the Cowboys. The Commies coming off a late loss, a game-winning field goal loss to the Chicago Bears, a game that the Commies should have won. They really should have won. They were outplaying them for a while. Unfortunately, turnovers ruined it for them. They're now going to have to go up against one of the best offenses in the NFL. But I do think that Jaden Daniels has looked very good for the most part. But it's hard to predict these kind of games, especially the divisions like this. Then the Cowboys are weird, man. They really are. They have one of the best offenses in the NFL, but also having one of the worst defenses in the NFL. I don't know how that works, and the Cowboys aren't making it work, but that's kind of where they're at. Dak Prescott, if the Cowboys defense didn't suck as much as it does, Dak Prescott would be high up in the MVP race. He's looked great. He really has without CeeDee. He's doing this stuff without CeeDee. George Pickens has been playing out of his flippin' mind all season. I didn't expect that. I don't know if you guys expected it, but I didn't expect that. And their defense is just horrific, man. It's just horrific. They allowed over 200 yards on the ground against the Panthers. I don't understand it. And they put up 40 against the Packers while also having 40 put on them. I'm not understanding this Cowboys team. But what would be funny is, since both of these teams lost on game-winning field goals last week, that one of these teams has to win. This has to be a game-winning field goal, right? It has to be. Please let it be. That'd be hilarious. Now, I do think the team that's going to get that game-winning field goal, I am going to go with the Commies. I just think Dallas's defense sucks. And I think it's going to be out. I think they're going to outplay them. I really do. I think the Commies are going to outplay them. I think it'll be low scoring, but I don't trust the Cowboys as far as I can throw them right now. I really, really don't. And that kind of sucks for Dak, because I really like Dak Prescott. He just has a terrible, terrible defense. And you know what would have made that defense a little bit better? Micah Parsons. All right, now we will head into Sunday Night Football, where the Atlanta Falcons will visit Santa Clara to take on the Niners. The Falcons obviously coming off a big upset victory against the Bills on Monday Night Football. Bijan Robinson, he had over 200 total yards. Drake London, 158 yards. They had 2 picks of Josh Allen. They looked fantastic on Monday night. They really did. There was really not really a time in that game where I thought that the Bills were going to come back and win that game. I know that they kind of looked that way for a second, but to me, that was Atlanta's game the whole time. A big upset win for them. The Niners are coming off a close loss to the Buccaneers in Tampa. Was it in Tampa? Either way, close loss to the Buccaneers. And I think the Buccaneers, and we'll get to that next, I think the Buccaneers are the best team in football. But the injuries are just starting to pile up, man. Fred Warner, man, done for the year. That just sucks, man. It just sucks. I really feel for the Niners. And I know as a Packer fan, I probably shouldn't, but I really do. Fred Warner is so good. And to see him go down, that just sucks. Mac Jones, he didn't look that great. He threw 2 picks. One of the picks was a game loser. They just, man, it sucks. And CMC, he looked okay at 54 yards on a tutty, but and I just think that the last 2 or 3 years now, 2 years, San Francisco has really just got beaten down by injuries, man. I really think, and this was in my prediction when I did the bracket predictor, the bracket predictor before the season started. I had the 49ers as the best team in the NFC, the number one seed. But if this Niners team, man, if they weren't so injured, they'd be one of the best teams in the NFL. I truly believe that. Unfortunately, that's just not the case. But I do have to say that they're still sitting at 4-2 even with all the injuries. But I am going to give them the slight edge. Now, I only say that because, yes, the Falcons look good on Monday night. I just don't trust them yet. I just don't. Now, they could go into... I'll be all behind the Falcons train if they can go into Santa Clara and put up numbers like that against the Niners, against a beaten-up Niners defense. They can do that. I can get behind the Falcons. But as of right now, I'm going to go with the Niners. I think it'll be a close game. But I am going to go with the Niners. I think that Mac Jones will have a bounce-back game. I think CMC will have a good game. I think it'll be close, but I am going to go with the home team. Then we will head to Monday night, where we have another stupid doubleheader. Hey, I said this last week. I'll say it again, and I'll say this every week as long as the NFL's doing it. Stop the doubleheader Monday night games. It's dumb. We want to watch a game, not have to try to flip between two of them. It's stupid. Now, what I think is going to be one of the best games of the week, the Blue Kitties hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's right. Blue Kitties at home, coming off a really lackluster performance against the Chiefs. I know they had a lot of wind knocked out of their sail with that really cool touchdown that Jared Goff had, was brought back because of illegal formation or whatever the refs decided it was. But overall, you can clearly tell that and we saw this in the Lions or the Blue Kitty Packer game to open the season, that if the Lions aren't able to run the ball really effectively, it really, really hurts them. And that's what happened on Monday night. Gibbs, I think, only had 60-something yards, and that was on 17 carries. That's not like him. They were 0-2 on fourth down. That's not like the Blue Kitties. That's not like what we've seen from Dan Campbell's team. The secondary is beat to hell. They got more and more injuries piling up, and Brian Branch is going to be suspended for this game because he took a shot at Juju Smith-Schuster because he didn't like something that happened in a kickoff or something. I don't know, but I don't like the direction that the Blue Kitties went on, and maybe it's just because I'm embarrassed because of all the smack I was talking that the Blue Kitties were going to do to the Chiefs, and they did none of that. On the other hand, the Buccaneers, like I said earlier, are probably they are the best team in the NFL. If you look at the IR and the injuries that the Buccaneers are dealing with, and yet Baker Mayfield is baking every single week. The season ends today. Baker Mayfield is getting a first-round bye, and Baker Mayfield is the MVP. I'm just saying, let Baker bake, my friends. Let him bake. It looks like they could be getting Mike Evans back this week to practice. Let's see here. Forced a couple turnovers last week against the Niners to set up their game-winning field goal. Baker Mayfield got hit by 14 people and still scrambled and got the big first down. So, I just let Baker bake, man. Let him bake. Let him bake. All right. This was a tough one for me. It really was. But seeing as how much the Blue Kitties are injured and how they looked on Sunday and how Baker's been baking, even though it's in Detroit, and I know that crowd and that atmosphere is going to be wild, and I can't wait to watch this game. I think it's going to be, could be the game of the year so far, my honest opinion. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. I think that they just look really good, and I just got a feeling that Baker's going to keep baking. So I am going to go with the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football against the Blue Kitties, and I think it's going to be a close game, but going to go with the Buccaneers. And then, finally, our last game of the week, the Houston Texans are heading into Seattle to take on the Seattle Sea Chickens. Houston coming off a bye, and the last time we saw Houston play, they absolutely rocked the Ravens, putting 44 on them. Houston has looked better in recent weeks. Obviously, it didn't start out very well. I think the O-line has looked better. I think Stroud is getting more comfortable. Their defense has been playing excellent. They're only allowing 12 points per game, which is absolutely incredible, especially sitting at 2-3. But their defense does not look like a 2-3 team. They really don't. And they have one of the best passing defenses in the NFL. That's really going to be put to the test, taking on Sam Darnold and the Sea Chickens. Sam Darnold has been playing well. He threw a couple tutties on Sunday. And he has weapons like JSN, who looks like one of the best wide receivers in football right now. 162 yards and a touchdown for JSN. Cooper Kupp finally getting in the end zone as a Sea Chicken, which is weird to see. Even though it's been a couple weeks, it's still weird to see Cooper Kupp in a Sea Chicken jersey. 7 sacks on T-Law for the Sea Chickens. I think this is going to be a good game. I do, and I wish it wasn't a double header on Monday night, because I'd like to watch this game too. This was a tough decision for me as well. I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair, but I am going to go with, and only because it's in Seattle, I'm going to go with the Sea Chickens. The atmosphere at Lumen Field is always absolutely incredible. As much as I hate having to see the Packers go there, or as much as I don't like the Sea Chickens, the atmosphere it's just incredible. And that is the only reason I think some little bit of home field advantage for the Sea Chickens on Monday Night Football. Well, that is a lot. But I think it will be a very good week of football. I think there are a lot of great matchups this week, a lot of games that I struggled in picking. I think we're in for maybe one of the best weeks of football so far. And I think that's saying a lot, because this season has been absolutely incredible and insane at the same time. But that is all my predictions for this week. Come back next week to see how I did and how we're gonna look at next week. We'll be here again Sunday for the post game for the Packers, and I'm also thinking about possibly doing a power ranking show as well, although I'm not entirely sold on that just yet. But as always, I really appreciate you guys tuning in, listening to me rambling. I apologize for all the yawning. Like I said, I just came home from work before I sat down to film this. I took all the notes before I went to work and came home and immediately came in the back room and filmed. So if you sat through this entire video, I'd really appreciate it. You can catch me on Twitter or X if you want. It's at Taylor Grinke. And yeah, I hope to see you guys next week. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.